explore hidden gems and stores you never heard before. Community connection, that's what we're about. Tune in, join us, see what Mansfield's all about. Mansfield's all about.
All right, everybody, welcome to Mansfield Buzz. It's Thursday, it's 2 o'clock, and yes, we're on every single Thursday. We started this channel, the Mansfield Buzz, back in March of 2024. And the cool thing is, Jordan, Paul doesn't know this, but he shows 75, which is really cool. That means we've actually covered 75 small businesses. And Jordan, if you don't mind, I'm going to let you hit the banners as we go through this instead of me and you switching back and forth in the equipment. Jordan and I, Paul, have access to the same thing, and so one of us clicks, everyone clicks it off. It's just sometimes we get really stupid on the dashboard, or Herdy does. No, let me repeat that. Herdy gets stupid on the dashboard sometimes. So, but anyhow, guys, for a local show, we're really pretty happy. Jordan and I are still increasing some things that we want to do to make it better. We're going to have a QR code launched next week where we're going to pass out cards because we want to support this not with sponsors, so they can't tell us what to do. We want to sponsor by donations. So we're literally going to have a QR code on card where people can donate to us, Jordan, and say, we love you. Here's $5, here's $10, here's $20. So stay tuned for that. Now,
nothing says I love you more than money.
A couple dollars, right? Right. No 50-cent donations will be allowed, though. Okay. So we're excited about that. It'll be done through PayPal because we can't monetize the YouTube fast enough. We've got to get the 3,000 watch time hours, and Google makes it extremely tough to monetize, but we can do it outside of that, which is really kind of cool. But also, guys, if you want to know where we're at, we're still averaging anywhere between 35 and 50 watch time hours every 28 days on YouTube, which is good for a local channel. We're not trying to push it out across the country. We want to keep it local for local business in the DFW area. So we're slowly pushing it out. But if you want to be on the show, I'm just kidding. First of all, you can go subscribe at Mansfield TX Buzz. That's our handle. You can just put the @ sign in the YouTube search bar at Mansfield TX Buzz. Go hit the subscribe button, or you can go to the long URL www.youtube.com at Mansfield TX Buzz. If you want to be on the show, real simple. Just put in the tagline, headline, top, put I want to be on the fantastic show that Jordan hosts, and ignore that Herdy guy and just go to Herdy at herdyburke.com and put in, I want to be on the show, but please have Jordan ask me the questions. Okay. Please. That's all you
Please do email Herdy that. That'd be hilarious.
Nah, we're having fun. Guys, just get me an email. And I will tell you, we are booked all the way through November, and I just filled 2 more slots in November. I think we have 1 slot left and 2 in December before we shut down until next year. So, we're pretty excited. All right, guys. So icebreaker time, and then Jordan's going to jump in with Paul, and we're going to find out about his icebreaker. So we'll be right back. All right, Jordan, all yours.
All right, it's icebreaker time. Let's see. We totally talked this about. Oh, I'm totally blanking live. This is what happens when you have a live show. You go blank and you're like,
hey,
oh no.
Paul, Jordan didn't tell you he was up to 4 a.m. working on a client last night.
Obvious, huh?
I think we're talking about some sort of martial arts.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you, Herdy.
Yeah,
you're welcome. Host for whenever you blank out.
I'll send you some coffee over on DoorDash. Just sit tight.
I will happily await it. That would be a great call. Icebreaker time. Paul, thank you for coming to the show. I want to get you nice and warmed up so we can get into our conversation. But not only do you kick ass at cybersecurity, but apparently you have some interesting hobbies that you're getting back into. So I want to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm planning on getting back into jiu-jitsu after mid-October. Just had some really been inconsistent with jiu-jitsu off and on, just because of the work, getting hands-on certifications, hands-on keyboard for, cybersecurity, offensive security. You have to literally be hands-on keyboard. It's not multiple choice. So that takes a lot of your time. And then sometimes, I even had stomach issues where I thought I had stomach cancer because I never had any issues with my stomach. So I didn't know stress impacts your gut biome and all that. So I started getting acid reflux. I never knew what that was, indigestion, how to do an endoscopy. And, I was doing 4 to 5 certs at one time, and I really just overloaded my body. So it's been up and down in jiu-jitsu. Was planning on doing it going back into June, but I really sprained my ankle really bad, and then also turned out to be a fracture. So it's been one of those roller coaster rides. So after this, I got to get my time management down, and then being able to get back in consistency mode. And then next year I want to actually compete again.
Hey, Paul, don't feel like the Lone Ranger. I have an ankle that swells up just because it doesn't like me, because of something I did when I was a kid. And so, just understand, I'm with you, brother. I know it's all part of it, right? All right,
his head swells quite a bit too.
Yeah, but that's a good discipline. That's gonna, anything we can do to help our bodies along, whether it's doing yoga, Pilates, something, I walk, so good for you. All right. So really quickly, guys, we're going to do a rewind from last week, and then we're going to dive into cybersecurity. I encourage you, if you're on live, to chat with us, but also to make sure that you stay with us, because this is something that you're going to really enjoy, and it's something you may not even be thinking about a lot. You need to be thinking it today. So we'll be right back after the segment.
Quick rewind, keep it tight. Highlights, prime to ignite. Catch the vibe.
Am I correct in assuming there's a couple of Advantage plans going away this year?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So there are some going away. And then also there are some carriers are not paying commissions anymore to us agents as well.
Wow.
And if that happens, I will still tell you, okay, this plan is good for you, but I cannot sign them up for that plan. So they'll have to do that on their own. I will help them, but I cannot be their agent of record.
Right.
Because I can get in really big troubles.
All right, guys, there you go. Mansfield Rewind. We want to come back and make sure you go back and check out some of our archive shows and make sure you follow through. And by the way, I consider everybody we interview to be an integrity-based business. And the fact they'll come on and talk an hour gives you some good information to choose them as somebody for a service or product. So pay attention to who we have on the Mansfield Buzz. And Jordan, let's talk cybersecurity with Paul.
Yes, I'm so excited about this, Paul. This is a topic that I honestly don't know a lot about, and I think a lot of people don't. So this is going to be very helpful for the lay people out there to just understand, because nowadays it's such a buzzword, cybersecurity, and I feel like everybody's cousin is starting a cybersecurity company because I see them popping out everywhere. But I'll be honest, you are the first person that I hear that has a cybersecurity company that is an actual hacker, which I think goes a long way, because you actually understand what you're trying to protect. So I'm going to run through questions about this, but I would love to know how you got into this. Because
hold the time out. Who is Digital Liquid? Paul.
I have no idea.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I don't know, but cool name and cool avatar.
Maybe. We'll see. Anyhow, thanks for chatting with us.
Herdy, our live show is gonna get hacked. I'm calling it.
Well, way it goes. We got Paul.
Live test, y'all. All right, Paul. I want to know, how'd you get into this? Like, how does one become a hacker, and then how does one suddenly decide to take that skill and use it for good? Because I really want to go through the whole stories that we have, questions that we have, but I'd love to know about how you got into this path.
Yeah. So I'll give the high level timeline. So pretty much in 1999, my junior year, I used to do people's DirecTV and Dish Network cards, and then also help my uncle solder the old school pirate boxes back in the day. Yeah. So that's how I got into it. I've always been doing it on the side, more so as a prankster, but also my love for learning. Where I grew up in the Bay Area, it was looked down upon being a nerd or into technology, especially, because California is its own entity, and within California, it's its own entity of the U.S. That's the whole other story for another day. But pretty much, in 2015 at GoPro, I started my career off in workplace services, physical security, leading physical security teams. So, I had an opportunity to actually do this. And then in between, where I was a hybrid is building out physical red teams. So that's pretty much where you go in to break into the facilities, do your implants, on the server room or whatever the engagement is. It could be anything, right? So I finally had my chance to fully go into that. I said no because I was comfortable like an idiot. And I finally made the switch 2021. So to be fully on that side. So I've always been, like I said, I've always been doing this since 99, my junior year.
Wow. That's awesome.
I would imagine so much has changed from those till now. Like, and is it like, do you think it's just what, like 99, like 26 years? Like in 26 years, how much has everything changed?
Now I would say, I'm not going to say it's easier, but there's a lot of more tools. Whereas back then you actually had to learn to more deep diving stuff. And I see that's where a lot of the disconnects being in the industry with more of the old school guys, like even older than me that came up in the .com, like the late 80s, even it's like they get upset because even the mechanics are like that. We had old, because my dad's a mechanic. We had it, so we had to do everything full labor on our hand. We had to learn everything. And now, you got all these different tools, LLMs and stuff like that, agents. It's completely different now. So, however, it's still a lot of hard work. You still got to put in time, and there's a lot less of work-life balance in cybersecurity if you want to go ahead and keep growing.
Yeah. I can imagine there's nothing, and I don't mean to interrupt Jordan's questions in the beginning of this. I can't imagine, and we'll go down this road. I just can't imagine that it's not constant homework today. If you're truly going to be on top of this industry, right? You're always looking, always researching. That's cool.
You have to. Technology changes so fast, different exploits. There's stuff called 0 days where companies don't even know that there's vulnerabilities out there. They're being sold on the dark web. So you always got to be on your P's and Q's, and you actually got to stay up on top of technology. If not, I always tell people my goal is to be ahead of the trends and curves. If not, you're going to go extinct. Yep.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, let's go into it.
Fun times today.
Now, I do have a question, Herdy. You wrote this question. What is an MSP?
Yeah, that Paul asked the question. We'll let him answer that.
So an MSP is so let me break it down. There's IT help desk, and then there's cybersecurity. So an MSP is going to give you the help desk, your laptops, your licenses, your Microsoft, your Active Directory, maybe do some stuff with your servers. Whereas cybersecurity is going to do your EDRs, your CrowdStrikes, your SentinelOnes, getting some of your other tooling. If you want Intel 471, if you want Corelight, Darktrace, more of the actual cyber side of things. If you want your pen test, there's a big there are two different entities, right? So there's people that still call cyber IT. It's not IT. They're two different arenas. They used to be back in the day, like maybe pre 2013, 14 ish. And then 15 is when cyber really started taking off. But they are completely two entities. So that's what an MSP is going to provide for a company. It's just going to be your break fixes, your laptops. I can't get in, my admin credentials to my cloud server. I need a top, et cetera. So there's a big difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was going to say, you threw a lot at us right there. So when you have buzzword, tell us what that buzzword means. Like you mentioned pen tests, okay? I guarantee it. Nobody had heard that. It just went way over them. So as we get in these questions, feel free to define each of these pieces of the cybersecurity.
I'll start weaving it in.
Start weaving it in for us. So,
that, because that's a lot of things there. But to kind of like, I guess wrap this question with a bow. Yeah. It sounds like, you clearly define the two paths that you have, right? Like one is like your internet technology, the other one is cybersecurity, which it would make sense that is the division, right? But there is a little bit of like maybe exaggeration that is coming from those IT providers that are like that covering they claim to cover the cybersecurity portion of it. So what are those things that they're saying that they're doing for you cybersecurity wise that is just noise?
So there's a whole sales pitch in MSPs, right? Everyone's in a business to make money, but when you come to cyber, I mean, you're talking about people's livelihoods, right? And I'm not downplaying IT, but when it comes to cyber, AT&T had to pay for their customers identity protection. Can a small, medium businesses pay that or cover that? They're going to be, out the door with lawsuits coming in and out. So you don't slap on an agent just to make a quick buck. And then not know how to do that process, right? They don't have that actual experience. I'm not trying to downplay multiple choice certifications like CISSP or ISC2, but you shouldn't be selling people or companies cybersecurity if you don't have that skill set or knowledge base.
Bingo.
Right? And then especially if you have to go hire 1 million contractors, you're upticking that price for that client.
Absolutely.
So, and for me, I tell, I don't know if people think from the cyber side outside of pen testing where, I know how to do this. I do this daily. So I know how to write the scripts automated. I'm not going to need 1 million contractors to upcharge you, right? It's going to be quick fix. There's going to be a process for the implementation. After that, it's just license. You just carry on the license support. So I'm cutting out all that cost because I do this, daily. And we should be helping out as cyber professionals, small, medium businesses, because they are what we call an offensive security low-hanging fruit, right? They don't have that knowledge base. They don't have that skill set. They don't have the proper tooling. And for someone, when you have that skill set, you could bring enterprise level technology down to their level at an affordable price.
Yeah,
that's it. Bingo. And I can't wait to dive deeper into that. And then toward the end, Jordan, come back and let's wrap that back in, because I want to ask him, it's almost like if you could have a cybersecurity expert, at the small business level that actually was contracted on your team that can handle all this, Paul would love to help you, right, Paul? I mean, that puts the peace of mind right into a small business, right? Period. So, and we'll dive back into that.
Yeah. So that brings up a great next point. We have our IT security, you have our IT companies, you have cybersecurity. There, you started marking the difference between the two of them. Let's go a little bit deeper into that, and let's start unpacking some of the terminology that he used, because I think it's important, right? Like you have your IT companies, which provide a very valuable service. We run, most of our businesses now have a component that runs online. So being proficient in that space is important for everything to fire correctly. But then there's a security portion. And you mentioned a few things that are maybe things that we should be aware of that maybe come bundled with an IT company that maybe it's not in your best interest. Let's talk about first the certifications, because you talked about earlier on our icebreaker, you took on some hands-on certifications, hands-on keyboard certifications, and then there's your multiple choice. So that immediately tells me not all certifications are done equal. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's, people flash certifications as like badges of honor. Like I did this, so therefore I know.
Yeah. So I'll break that down. So like I said, we're, bringing stuff down to from enterprise level down to small, medium businesses. So let's just say there was an incident, God forbid, right? You got your PwCs, KPMGs, Deloitte. They will only take certain cybersecurity personnel with certain certifications where it's hands-on keyboard. Your OSCP for offensive security is the minimum base one. If you don't have your OSCP, you're not gonna pretty much work there. Threat hunter, either CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, or probably the one from offensive security. I forgot the actual name for it. Mm-hmm. Incident response. You're going to need certain SANS certs that are going to be, or else in order to do that job there, right? And to be licensed, certified, underinsured, etc. So if you don't have those, you obviously don't have the skill set, the training, the knowledge to even be doing that job. You shouldn't be selling people those products, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if you don't have anyone on your team that has that knowledge or skill set. So that's pretty much where the breakdown of the certifications come in. And then one certification ain't the end all be all. There's different ones, right? There's offensive security, which is the pen testing, ethical hacking for your AD, Active Directory, internal, external. You got Wi-Fi, you got cloud, you got API, web app, mobile. There's a whole different niches, right? So that's just within offensive security or the ethical hacking world. Then you got threat hunting. Then you got incident response. Then you got threat intelligence. So, it's a lot of different hats to wear. And so if you're hired, if MSP has all that in house, they're charging a pretty penny for that client.
I bet.
Especially pretty penny, meaning they have to subcontract those out, especially if there's an incident and they're not properly insured or have, it's going to be, when there's an incident, you need time
critical
times money. Yep.
Yeah. Critical.
Yeah. And so you mentioned pen testing. Is that when you're like actually hired to hack the system?
Yes. So it's not just go on and when they say pen test, it's not just full on go hack everything. It's broken down. What's in scope, what's out of scope, right? Because if you go too much or you just run a tool or whatever, you could damage or break something or put something out of,
Sure.
business or put a client out of business. So you're always going to have a good person that has that project management where they know how to plan in scope, what's out of scope, but they also see where things could actually impact. So when you see things that you could actually get impacted by testing it, what you want to say is, I have an open door or window. I could do whatever I want here. Screenshot that for the client or customer, but don't execute the payload, right? Don't exploit it because you could take something offline. So that's pretty much where you want someone that not only could pen test, but they also have to have that project manager mindset as well.
That's cool. I hadn't thought about that too. It's like, hey, see if you could hack this. It's like, but actually don't break it.
Yeah.
Can you,
yeah.
Paul, real quickly, can you clarify threat hunting? I think I understand what that is, but could you kind of dig into the threat hunting a little bit?
Yeah. So threat hunting is a proactive term, meaning where a threat hunter is going to proactively look for threat actors, nation states, following their TTPs, their tooling, tactics, and procedures. From the MITRE ATT&CK framework. So they're going to go into your infrastructure, or if they're an internal employee, they're going to go in and look for certain tools and patterns of actual threat actors that are taking place today.
So they're more of a pattern check on right.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. Wow, Jordan. Everybody by now this listening's going, crap. I'm in trouble.
All right. Okay, so in the things that you talked about, what are some of the I'm trying to bring it down to our average audience that is listening and is going to listen to this. So some of these things, could you give us some example of when they're used against particularly small business? Because I know small businesses think it's not going to happen to them.
Oh, yeah. I had a lot of friends, especially in the Bay Area. When I go there, oftenly I'll go mess around with them, not, legally, ethically, because then I'll show them, hey, this is open. This is what I've done, especially the ones that have restaurants or bars. Now everything's pretty much patched so far. But with the Flipper Zero, I'd be able to turn off their payment system, right? Because I'll jam their Bluetooth or they have open services on, and I'd be able to stop them from actually using their tablets, and I'll show them and I'll correct them, how to fix it. Mm-hmm. So pretty much that's the kind of the mindset I guess you would have for that kind of arena, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So it could be like, just as simple as just sabotage, like you're going in there and just halting the ability to conduct business.
Yeah. And then key thing I forgot to mention is good actual threat actors aren't going to let you know they're there. They're going to actually stay in as long as they can. They're going to build persistence, meaning multiple paths to stay open using a beacon, which, they're going to have more than one option, pretty much. I'm trying to, everyone says I'm too technical. So I'm trying to break it down.
Hey, no, it's okay to be technical. What people need to understand is, your industry and you can help them. Okay. Yeah. And the technical terms people can figure it out. They just need to know it's an important part of their life. It's an important part of their business, period.
Yeah, so we'll ask you. We'll ask you when it gets too technical.
We'll drill you down.
Yes.
So just to be like the good ones aren't gonna let you know they're there. They're gonna stay. They're gonna just take and exfiltrate whatever they can, whatever they need on a daily basis, and you won't even know your stuff. They're there, let alone your stuff's being sold. That's PII, customer data, personal data, whatever the case may be. Now I don't want to just use the term script kiddie, but your average person that wants to go mess around, that's when you'll probably hear some bells and whistles go off or something don't work. You're locked out of your account. And then also, I would say those would be the broken down portion, the two different arenas of a threat actor.
Wow, that's crazy.
Okay,
you just have somebody or something, they're just pulling all your stuff, but if it's done well, you don't even know it.
So Hurdy's going to jump in here for a minute because I can't help it. I love technology. I love this stuff. All right. So, Paul, I have a service. I'm not going to mention the name. This service I have for the last 2 years has been scrubbing me off the web through directories, third-party sites, personal information, that I pay for on a yearly basis. Is that a cool service to have?
So you're talking about like a Cloaked or Delete Me? Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That's definitely, I use Cloaked. Delete Me is really good as well. There's a couple of others, but
there's some good ones, but I'm just saying it's out there. It's asking permission to pull you off directories, right? So
definitely. And I say that I don't get paid by Cloak Me, but
no.
Make sure, this is one thing, make sure people do their due diligence on technology, because there's a lot of people out there saying they could do those things. Just make sure you do your research. Don't just watch a social media post or ads. Do your research on every technology. And especially, going to Nuvo Desk and doing a lot of talks there, I'm hearing a lot of the financial and tax people. Vet your AI. Don't just throw AI in your systems, because a lot of them aren't properly secured. So it's the same thing like with like what we're talking about with the data scrapers. Make sure they actually could do their job.
Yeah, and make them verify the transparency back in reports, correct?
Yep.
So you do your research. Guys, one thing I try to tell people all the time when I'm in small businesses, if you don't understand something when you get a message on a computer, before you even click it, go type it in and look it up and see what it says. It could be a fish. It could be a hack. It could be somebody just go do your research. Use common sense.
Are you telling me Fish is going to send me an email?
Well, I'm saying phishing's like somebody's throwing a fishing line out to you to try to bite on something so they can get into your accounts, okay? And that's the simple side. But my point is, if you don't understand the term, go look it up.
Yeah.
Go look it up and see what they're saying about it. It's just weird. But I think the other thing I was going to ask you was, so a small business is now to save money, Paul, is doing a lot of what we call affiliate or what we call share server space. Okay. It used to be in a co-location center. You had your own server space. You had it secured. You didn't have to worry about other people being on. Nowadays, we share servers. Big deal, right?
Yes. So number one for that, having to manage that in my past, making sure before you even sign any kind of lease agreement, any kind of contract, make sure that they follow your proper security operating procedures, your SOPs, any kind of plans, redundancy, business continuity, make sure they follow those in place. Because if not, something happens, you already signed the contract, you're at risk for it.
Yeah.
So that's number one. If that's not in place, I would look somewhere else. I mean, that's pretty much, it's going to stem off of that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right.
And on that same vein, I wanted to ask you, because Paul, you're probably going to give us a good framework. How can we tell we're being sold snake oil? Because a lot of us don't know cybersecurity, and there's all these like things offered that pretend to do things for you, but like we don't even know. Like, how can we tell? What's a good framework to use to know if something is legit or not?
So I'm gonna break it down, and I noticed this speaking at some of these meetings, Nuvo Desk, and some of these other places. Real people that actually do cybersecurity, especially when they work in the actual industry, hate buzzwords. They do not like buzzwords. Usually for me, if someone says, why don't you use buzzwords? Because those are people that like to hear themselves talk or want to be the loudest person in the room.
Gotcha.
However, when you speak, a lot of the business people ask why I don't use buzzwords, and that is why. So if you're getting told someone a lot of buzzwords and there's no technicalities, that's pretty 99.9% someone doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. They're just trying to make a sale. So so I tell people I'd rather have a mechanic that's going to break it down all the way down to the actual electrical plans than someone just going to use some buzzword that Tesla uses on the commercial, right? That's kind of how to break it down.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Great point.
And so along that line too, one of those buzzwords are the security assessments, right? Like we'll do a security assessment and I don't know, I guess somehow know if you are secure or not. What does a real, penetration test looks like? Because you mentioned bringing, like enterprise level down, like this sounds like you're actually going in there and like poking things.
Yes. Yeah. So there's what we call vulnerability assessments. Those are usually used for web apps, some internal, external entities, depending on how the organization's framed. and they need certain of those tools to be ran for compliance purposes. However, those are pretty much going to be extinct after next year with some of these large language model, I hate the term AI, testing agents that are being put, because they actually are getting rid of these false positives. So there's things called vulnerability scanners that are like Nessus, Rapid7, Acunetics that are ran. Boom, they slap on the logo and they say that's your pen test report. You're paying 14, 15K plus for something that was just ran with a ton of false positives. Where actual pen test is you're actually doing it from a threat actor standpoint, or depending on how the project's laid out from in and out of scope, where I'm getting into your Active Directory from an external standpoint, penetration testing your Wi-Fi, your building, actually doing it physically, and documenting it step by step, where not only I show you everything, but you could also have someone on your team reproduce it, right? It's not a false positive. So that's the big difference of a pen test and an actual vulnerability assessment.
Gotcha.
No, that makes sense. That is actually doing the thing versus just kind of running a script that goes in and is like, you have all these issues.
What it is, yeah.
Yeah, that does resonate. I mean, in my field, I'm in marketing and consulting. That's definitely not nowhere near as technical, but a big part of it is understanding, are you saying the right things? And you can't just like scan a website to see like, hey, are you actually saying things correctly? No, you have to go in and understand the context. You're going in there and understanding the systems, even the building itself. That's crazy. But yeah.
Well, like the building example, a lot of so if you're leasing or subleasing from someone, usually 9 times out of 10, the property management and facility engineers are going to have their building management or life safety systems integrated to your network, right? Your MPO room. So if they're not following your SOPs, this comes again, they're going to leave wide open. So when Target got breached with the HVAC, let's just say if their HVAC, or they got a big cat generator that has that's tied into the network, and that's how threat actors get in because they're not secure on their end. That's how those things come into play.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow, that's really cool. So let's talk a little bit about your hacker background, because that, I feel like that is hands down like the most valuable thing that you can bring in through, is like you can actually think like a hacker does, so you can spot those things, because to you, this entire system looks differently.
Yes. Yeah. So me doing offensive security, both on the physical and cyber side, brings a different aspect, right? So there was the last meeting I went to for Mansfield, there was another guy that was kind of doing the same thing as me. And he said, don't hire hackers to do your cybersecurity. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, why do all the big tech industries and companies hire offensive security professionals and look at their pay rate, right? And I just left it at that.
No,
that's because they want to emulate an actual threat actor, right?
Wow.
Threat actor, nation state, depending on the criteria of their organization. So that mindset is going to bring a different perspective than someone else that is going to say, oh, just slap on CrowdStrike or SentinelOne and it's the end all be all. Where I'm like, no, there's even tools that are made to mimic what threat actors utilize. So there's Fortra, right? Cobalt Strike, Outflank is the tool I'm talking about, that under Fortra, where it bypasses CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, Microsoft Sentinel, some of these big companies, because threat actors, like I said, there's 0 days or payloads that are out there that they're not detected yet. So that gives you the foot in and see how you could, bypass that. And then pull it back up on the report to go over the client or customer or internally. But so that's, I think, what sets us apart. And I don't mean the suits to be disrespectful for like financials. So if you go to like a lot of the cyber conferences, a lot of people, they just like authenticity, right? Be yourself, be the hacker community, cybersecurity community. And that's where it's authentic. And that's, where it comes from. We're not trying to sell you snake oil thing. We're actually do this for a living, hands on keyboard kind of thing.
Yeah. That's awesome. Man, I have so many questions. I'm just going to wait till we get through this toward the end. So
yeah,
that's cool.
And this next question we already touched a little bit on, just like not relying on a check the box security or automated scans. The hands-on analysis is far more superior. Tell me a little bit about just how that maybe like a little bit of a, I guess more of a, like bring it down to like a client or a situation that we can relate to it.
So you mean like from a small medium?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I can see this, like you mentioned Target, and I could totally see that. And I almost see it as secret agent style, like somebody like breaking in and tapping into the unprotected section to try to hack the place. But I want to see it on the small business scale, because I know they're the most vulnerable and they're statistically the most attacked, but we just don't see it that way.
I'll give you cash pawn shops within the DFW. A lot of them, not doing anything illegal, but just walking down the sidewalk, looking through the window with their curtains open. They're really, really vulnerable, and not knowing, like I said, just looking through the window on the sidewalk, I'm pretty sure they have a lot of things tied where they have a lot of their cash and valuables in the back room tied to that network. So that's one instance. A lot of health clinics that don't even have cyber, where I love my TRT, but Alpha Male in South Lake, where they leave their laptops and tablets wide open they're not even locked. So I could have just went in there when they closed the door to get the stuff to do my blood test, put in a Bash Bunny rubber ducky and have at it, right? Pull the data out. So there's stuff like that where, and that's customer data, PII, right? Client data.
Yeah,
so
and that's HIPAA protected client data too. So I mean, you're like in double trouble.
The compliance and auditing aspect in there, right? So, and a lot of dental offices do that. Like when I'm getting my teeth cleaned, they leave the desktop's right open. You can just go in there and plug it in, and it's the USB that I use, the rubber ducky or Bash Bunny, acts like an actual keyboard, so it's it's undetectable. So there's or the ORG cable, like the cell phone charger, right? It's the same thing.
Wow.
Okay, so I have a piece of I can't tell you the name of it, but I have one in my bag. I think I gave one to a couple of people when I'm at a remote Wi-Fi. Not only do I have a VPN on, but I have in between the plug-in, I have a plug that allows no data to come out, be transposed. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. So I tell people to get those, especially if you're going to airports, stuff like that. So it only has power, voltage, not data transfer.
Yeah. And it plugs in, and you plug it in, and there you go. So I carried 3 of them back. If anybody wants one, I'll give them one for free.
Can I get some affiliate links at the description of the show, please?
Yes, you can. You can. Hey, so Paul, let me drill down a little bit to a small business. So a small business sits in just in a regular office. They may have 2 or 3 employees. Each has a laptop. Each has, they file share. Each laptop may not be singularly set up for the office. They can do other tasks on it besides their work, right? Because maybe the company doesn't know how to secure them and keep them work oriented. What couple of things do they need to keep themselves somewhat secure?
Yeah. So number one, test out their Wi-Fi, where their network's coming in, how the access is to where their ISP's coming in, meaning if they use AT&T or Spectrum, that's usually going to be the building MDF, IDF, or MPO room, making sure that's secure. So that'll be the first step, Wi-Fi, internet. And then second would be getting them on CrowdStrike, and then building out their policies for automation, and which will also utilize Ninja One. So everything's updated and patched. CrowdStrike also has their embedded LLMs for threat hunting, so it does that proactively. So if there's any threats, it'll isolate that endpoint, meaning laptop, server, desktop, even phone or cloud, from any kind of threat, for the threats to escalate, right, or to grow. It'll pretty much isolate it. You clean it out and then have at it. Or if you got to replace it, you replace it. So that would be my first 2 steps for small, medium businesses. And then obviously, if there's more granularity, such as they got cloud, or they got half cloud, half prem, they're using different kinds of SaaS or other services where they're going to be touching, like if they're complex with data lakes for Azure or AWS, or Kafka, something like that, then that's when it's going to get a little more intertwined, deep dive assessment.
Now, do you recommend a small business by chance that has their AT&T or whatever router that is at ISP? Because a lot of people don't realize the ISP collects as much information as a Google or anybody else, would you recommend they VPN on the router, or both the router and the local desktops?
I would do well. If the local desktops, they wouldn't need to, but their laptops they would need to, especially to get back into their corporate environment. Yes, I would do both. I wouldn't even use the AT&T or Spectrum. I'm going to get my own.
Right, I was going to say you can buy your own VPN routers and exchange them out. Okay, cool.
So I got AT&T just because I literally just got their fiber the other day. So
I still haven't I haven't gotten there yet either.
I haven't got my new one, yeah, because they
but I have your recommended VPN on. So.
Yep.
Okay, and for those that don't know, what is a VPN and how does that work?
Virtual private network. So now there's different ways on how it could work. If you're going with a company like Proton or whatever, you're going to pretty much get that configured into your actual router or router modem if you have one that does both. Mm-hmm. Now there's somewhere you could build out on your own. I wouldn't recommend that, especially if you don't have the expertise, especially in Linux, because you could really screw things up, especially on your firewall. Yeah, I would just go with the preferred. I use Proton. There's other companies as well, but yeah, Proton's what I use.
Okay, and that comes, and this is the service, but it's also the hardware that goes replaces your router.
No, the server. You're going to have to configure your Proton. Get your configuration from your Proton app or device like your phone or wherever you have it on. Mm-hmm. You get the configuration stuff there, and then put that onto your router or router modem. If some people they have one device that does both.
It'll step you through it'll ask you to ID your model numbers and stuff if your router to make sure it's compatible. So it's cool. Yeah, cool. So what does a VPN do, Paul?
So pretty much what a VPN does is isolate your traffic. It secures it from end to end. So now just to be frank, they're not the end all be all. There are still ways around VPNs. However, its likelihood is very going to be minimal. Depending.
It's there.
Yeah, it's there. Still there. So nothing is 100% hackable at all. Even if it's not even plugged into the internet, it's not 100% hackable. And anyone that tells you that, that's not true.
That's correct.
But the VPN, for the most part, is going to stay safe. So, like if someone does Evil Twin or Evil Portal, so let's just say you go to the airport and I create DFW free Wi-Fi, and I could de-auth you. So what de-auth is I deauthorize you, kick you off, make you go onto my fake portal and use your login credentials. That's pretty much what VPN is going to prevent that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And the other thing is a good VPN does not track your traffic or your logs. It does not. It's not going to log your looking around the web. Right?
Yeah, and that's when I tell people again to do your due diligence on the companies you use.
Do your research.
You'll find out that a lot of companies release your data when they say they don't.
That's correct. All right.
Okay. Next question. You mentioned you've worked with CrowdStrike, Ninja One. You just mentioned them actually, and build red team operations, which that just sounds dope. How does that level of tech stack benefit small businesses, especially? I love the red team part because you talked about it, right? Just because it's not connected to the internet doesn't mean it's not hackable. Yeah. You could literally break into the facility, and you just mentioned connecting something that looks like a phone charger that can just steal your data. I love this. Please walk me through this.
Yeah. So OMG Cable, you could build your own or get them from Hack5 Gear, where I get mine. They also, I think they were sold for $25,000 or $35,000 from the NSA. Now you could buy them for $100 to $180. So pretty much they're identical. They're chargers. You can't tell the difference from the Apple to Samsung. Now they also have micro USB. They got USBs as well. So those are considered implants, similar to the rubber ducky or bash bunny, the USBs that act as a keyboard. Now back to your question as far as red team operations. Now there's a difference between pen testing and then red teaming. So pen testing is project based, in and out of scope. Whereas red teaming is pretty much going to be a longer, stealthier duration of an engagement, and you're going to mimic an actual nation state or threat actor. So it could take 3 to 6 months to plan out, right? And you're actually going to mimic, like I said, the nation state or threat actor, and you're going to hit everything from all aspects. So you're going to do your OSINT, open source intelligence, all the way down to your reconnaissance, building out profiles on LinkedIn, from Facebook, seeing what these people like, what they're into. That's how you're going to get the phishing aspect into it, right? And then building out your social engineering infrastructure, utilizing AWS, DigitalOcean, GoFish, Evil Jinx for setting up your, like I said, the infrastructure for your phishing, your emails, setting up your vishing as well, getting your, all that stuff set up. Now, if you're going, let's just say into a company, can I buy FedEx uniforms at Goodwill or any of these pawn shops? That way, if I could look at their infrastructure, they're putting data on their floor plans on YouTube, which I did a video on my YouTube channel, my old company Box. It pretty much gives you the lay of the land. You can build out your own floor plan, how the office managers, the lobby receptionists, personnel, the security guards interact with vendors, and you can actually hear it live. That way, having a mechanical facilities background as well, that's also going to help me if I want to be AT&T or some kind of Coconut Electrical to get myself into the server data, MPO room, because I have that knowledge base. I know what I'm talking about. And I did my research on LinkedIn, how to get access, knowing when they're on vacation by looking at their Instagram or Facebook. So I could time that, build out a fake email, have it redirected to me on my phone. Here's the access, here's his email, boom, I'm in. So, that's pretty much the whole scope. And again, I'm using that because that's how my YouTube video when I worked at Box, how you pretty much would formulate that kind of scenario for a red team. That's more intensified.
Do we know who this is?
Oh, InfoSec Pat? Yeah, that's my friend. He also is on YouTube as well. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank God.
Yeah. No, Pat,
Thanks, man. Appreciate the
really,
comment.
really awesome dude.
Thanks for saying hi.
Okay, so you definitely know how to. I hope you've terrified some people. I really do.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Being in physical security, I'm ex-military myself, but I don't have that law enforcement military mindset. Whereas, they get, if you know what I'm talking about, where they have that, why do you think that way? This mentality, I've always got frowned upon working in physical security because I had the red team mentality aspect. You're putting in $3.5+ million systems, access control video systems, and you think it's the end all be all. They're not tested, they're not patched, they're not managed. I could break into your facility, like nothing. So that pretty much is a scare tactic on physical. It's changed over the years, thank God. Now they're doing actual red team assessments on their building security, facility security. But also, even within cyber, I'll just give my example that I use at Royal Caribbean, working there is especially now doing pen testing medical devices. What if we got someone, A-list personality, CEO that has an actual health condition that we were able to find using OSINT reconnaissance, found out he's going to book this cruise on the Icon and, on Royal Caribbean. I'm able to get a foothold in there, being able to buy some kind of uniforms on ship, get into the actual medical device, now exfiltrate his data or shut it off where it actually kills him. So there's stuff like that where they're like, why would you think like that? Well, because that's what a threat actor is going to do, right? That's the kind of mindset you have to have. And some people, it turns them off that way, but in order to catch the wolf, you got to become the wolf.
So I'm picturing my simple explanation back to you on that is you're always looking at worst case scenario.
Exactly. Not just worst case, but all cases.
Okay, you're right. But worst case up, let's go. Worst case up the ladder, right? Everything.
Yeah. And then also, it's not a fear factor, but there's also the risk mitigation aspect of which risk is high, which risk is going to be low. So, you also got to throw that into play, but it still could happen, right? You still got to throw it on there.
So you just mentioned something that really got my attention. Why do people tell people when they're going to be out of town?
Oh, so my friend's house got robbed 3-4 times. I've noticed in 6th grade. She's actually my 6th grade girlfriend. And she goes, I'm like, well, you went to Santana Row. You're showing people you bought all this Louis Vuitton. She's one of those girls. And then you're posting it. I could track it. I don't care if your profile is private because it happened 3 times after she made it private. I go, you're sharing that stuff to other people. They're resharing it. And they could pinpoint your address on one of the sites, the data broker sites. All your information's there. Right. So, that's people that do that just blow my mind. And that's pretty much how that stuff happens.
Yeah, I gotcha. And that goes back to that data brokerage thing that go back and find the service you do your research and start getting those eliminated off the web. I mean, I'm telling you, get them out of those directories. Cool.
Exactly.
Small stuff. Our my little mind works that way. There you go.
Well, let's keep going down the rabbit hole. Let's talk
keep
about
really
cyber
scared.
attacks now. How realistic is that for a small business in Texas? What have you seen happening to the small businesses, cyber attack related, to our fellow small businesses here in our area?
Yeah. So how realistic are there for small businesses in Texas? I would say they are very realistic. I don't know what it is, but coming from California, I would say Texans are more lax on the technology standpoint, especially when it comes to cyber. Was it two years ago? The Tarrant County tax assessor got, I think it was like 938,000.
Shut them down.
I would have went for it if they would have wiped everyone's property taxes off the database, but that didn't happen.
Hey, I remember the Dallas Police Department got shut down.
Yeah. And then we had, was it business? The interior company in Texas and right up the street in Irving got hit. Ransomware. Not only that, it hit their employees, right? Their whole employee system got hacked, all that stuff breached. So I would say they are lax. Now, again, I would say there is a fear too from what I've seen, just going to some of these meetings and stuff, that there are people selling snake oil, and that is not good because it's preventing them to get the protection that they need.
Agreed.
Right. I would say that. The other one too is the medical aspect. United Health a couple years ago, or almost a year and a half ago. Yeah. Going to CVS a lot down here by my house. A lot of people, I didn't know it affected that bad to where they couldn't get their prescriptions. They had to pay full price, then get reimbursed after that. So that was a kicker. So that's another thing on the medical front, is having a backup plan. And I know that's costly. Some people can't get it, but you got to understand, if you're putting it can happen to anyone, can happen to me, right? If Blue Cross gets hacked, I could be in the same situation today, within an hour. But you have to have a backup plan, and these things are going to hit when you least expect it. At least from what I've seen, and also from my experience. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. I do know. I was just, that reminded me not too long ago, or maybe it was too long ago, but the emergency signal system got hacked.
Yep.
The tornado sirens just started going off everywhere. Yep. And for it's totally fine what's going on. And come to find out, somebody hacked the signal because apparently you could just open the box and tap into it.
It was loud for a couple of days.
Even the signage, road signages here, they're on basic padlocks, master padlocks, where you could just make a shim from a soda can, pop them open, and you could have at it, which is shocking. I would put more of a secure lock on those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I want to go back to one question earlier, because I'm curious. I don't know. I know a little bit about CrowdStrike. How do we implement that, Paul? Just go in and sign up for an account with them, and then what? You follow the bouncing ball, or what's the steps on that? Or somebody like you need to implement that?
Yeah, so you can. However, when you do it on your own, you're going to pay for the license upfront for a year.
So we need to go through you to get that set up. Okay.
I would be better, and it will be cheaper. And then I would also be able to manage and do your policies, build out your whatever you need. I would be able to build that out and make it automated, not just through the CrowdStrike aspect, but also the Ninja One is going to be on top of that. That's going to manage your laptops, your desktops, your servers, your patching, etc. And they are integrated, but I would take care of that after the initial setup, depending on the type of business and the scope of the actual setup, the project. After that, it's just maintaining the license. Gotcha. Now, if there is an actual incident, and there are contractors needed, that's a whole different ballgame. But for the most part, there's nothing else that is needed after that.
Yeah. So my point is to go through you. There's no sense somebody trying to individually set that up. Okay. Gotcha. I just wanted to clarify that for everybody, because everybody sounds like you can just go sign up for one of these services and it's done. Not the way it works.
But you got to build out everything.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So then let's jump into the, we looked at some of the worst case scenarios. Let's flip it around and see what can small business owners do to implement their cyber security defense, and just really take an active step to securing their business, their livelihood, their clients and customers, what can they do to like actually make things better and not just fluff?
For me, I would get multi-factor authentication, not the app. I would actually get a YubiKey because, again, that still could be hacked if someone gets it, right? If you lose it or whatever. But I would get a YubiKey because you actually have to be there and press it. So, like, there's certain Microsoft Authenticator, right? Google. So if you log into Microsoft 365, like I was talking about doing some of these phishing engagements, I could pull your Authenticator app using the redirect. And get access to your credentials, right? So with the YubiKey, you actually got to plug it in and actually press it. Don't make the actual keys like on NordPass or any of those because your keys are housed in your browser. If something happens with Chrome, they could technically get that, right? There's multiple other implications that could happen. I would recommend if you can, not all applications, I don't know why banks don't do it. Their banks are just horrible. But make sure you can, whatever you can do with a YubiKey.
Yeah. So in other words, just to clarify to our small businesses out there, rather than setting up a general authenticator, go ahead and use or even set up your NordPass or LastPass or whatever you're doing with your passwords. Make sure you're doing that on the key, not just because you're connected still to the internet through those. They can be hacked. Okay. Gotcha.
And then second tip, if you do use the actual app, don't save your keys on your phone or your laptop.
Yeah, don't. There's
people that still do that.
Because that's in the cloud. I mean, if you're saving something to the internet, think about that.
Yeah, just print them out, keep them in a safe. Don't even have them on your computer.
And I tell the same thing to people that are running on their crypto, right? If you got your key, just manually put it somewhere. Don't enter it in your cloud.
Or leave it on your browser, saved on your browser.
Or leave it open. Yeah, exactly. That's funny. Okay.
And what about the next level up? So now they're wanting to secure their business and actually, you mentioned CrowdStrike and other products. Like, what's the next level up when you're, coming to the realization like, I should probably get some of this locked down?
I would recommend getting CrowdStrike EDR protection and start from there. Like I said, a lot of the tools that's embedded right now, it has a proactive threat hunting. It's going to block down everything. There's two kickers with CrowdStrike. Number one, it will lock down and isolate your endpoint. Number two, it's actually updating 24/7, right? All the different hashes, threats, etc. Everything is updating. So whatever's new and latest that they have will be implemented and will be able to catch if, God forbid, something did show up like that on your infrastructure.
Right.
And then number three, there's actually three of them, which a lot of people, even in the industry, don't talk about. It prevents insider threats. So again, it's not AI, it's LLMs. So it'll build out that infrastructure on a user, right? On a user's normality. So if a user does something out of the ordinary, it will shut down and lock down their account or isolate the endpoint. So like if you got an insider threat where someone's upset or wants to do damage to the company, want to download everything and sell it, put it on Twitter, you made a political statement and someone wants to do one of those crazy things, CrowdStrike comes in handy for that.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, is that fairly, I don't mean to get you to quote anything, but is that fairly expensive for a small business, or generally is it within reach?
No, it's way within reach. Like I said, I'm not selling snake oil. I'll do all the work myself.
Right.
I'm here to help, keep it local, small, medium businesses. Now, obviously, if there's a medium business that has 250, 400 plus endpoints, that's a whole different story.
But
if
somebody works out of their home or somebody has their routers that, you can definitely worth doing with you. Okay. Definitely. That's what I was getting to, because I'm that guy. I'm that guy, and I'm interested in the CrowdStrike thing. So I'm just telling you.
Yeah, no, and I can manage a big company like that. It's just obviously there's more granularities in that where it's going to be different, right? But like I said, especially if they have the different clouds and all that stuff, it's going to, it's obviously going to be different project setup costs.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Cool. Yeah.
So I think we've answered this over and over and over again, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Why should business owners watching this partner with OX3 Security instead of just going with your standard IT / cybersecurity check in the box? I chose A enough times and passed the test kind of company.
Yeah, I'll say the first two again. We're built by hackers. We do this for a living. Number two is we actually take the certifications, gain the knowledge, and also above the trends and the curves for the new threats. And then number three is my work ethic will go a long way. It's proven in the industries, especially in the tech industry, where I've grown my career at and been pretty much a part of all my life, except for currently Royal Caribbean. Yeah, I would just say my knowledge and skill set and is there, but also me wanting to learn and grow, right? Being able to be ahead of the trends and curves. I can't stop preaching that enough. Is at the forefront.
So, Paul, I have one more security question for you that I've always wanted to ask somebody, and I think you're the person that can actually answer that. I was doing some research about a year ago and was reading about, our cloud backups and the backups we do on our systems today, right, to keep us in business if data disappears. And that is, I noticed that that there was some ransoms where they actually not only got the computer, but they were able to ransom the backup. So what are I guess what I'm asking you is what do companies do about their backup on their data to keep it from being ransomed in case they lose their device? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for me, I would always have an on-prem isolated where a backup is shot there as a third redundancy.
Right.
That would be me. Now, however, a lot of the clouds that are getting their backups that are getting ransomed, a lot of it is coming from misconfigurations, hence a pen test, right? They could show you where your misconfigs are and actually get those fixed. Gotcha.
Yeah. Because my data is critical, right? I have to have a backup. If this computer died today or whatever, I'd be out of business if I couldn't. And a lot of my stuff's in the cloud, but there's some critical things that I have to have on my backup. So that's why I was asking. Okay.
Yep. And then also, just real quick on that, make sure your backups are done correctly. You don't need a full built-out server on AWS or Azure. You could just actually have snapshots, and then if that gets taken down, just spin up another one. So you're not paying for the data and that cloud quote unquote machine to be up and running. You just have the actual snapshot and spin it up when you need it.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Jordan, I'm totally confused.
Man. As long as you know the right person to call.
Well, I think the people that are at least attempting to do some things to help themselves online, right? Or at least, but there's some deeper things that need to be done. Like I did not realize the CrowdStrike thing is being as important as it was. I've read about it, but you don't understand it, Paul, if you don't know what to ask, right? So you think it's just a big company out there and you're just a little guy, right? You have no idea.
And that's a good point, Hardy. And Paul, I think I do have a last question for you is you obviously have a gift to look at things in a way that most of us don't. And that's why you can spot those vulnerabilities. So I'd love to take that unique side of yours. What are some of the small businesses that are probably like in tremendous risk and they don't realize they are?
For me, just looking at the last 2 years, especially what's going on, even hitting social media, especially if people could tie back you to certain areas such as OSINT, open source intelligence, I would say health and legal firms, right? Especially legal firms, that being what I was mainly getting at. A lot of people fighting on social media, YouTube, beefs, people suing each other, saying they're this, they're that, getting all that documentation released. They're not secure at all, at least from what I've seen and people have told me. So I would say, again, law firms and health, whether it's dental, special health like TRT or doctor offices, I would say those would be the top two.
Yeah, my feeling is that Google's always been really, and this is just thinking in between the lines, right? Google's always been leery of law, health, because they're nervous about the implications of data, right? Yep. There's reasons why they don't like certain areas in search. Yeah, interesting. I think it all ties together. I may be wrong, but seems like it. So law firms need to definitely be tied down, and I would imagine anything health does, because we're seeing huge examples.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'll definitely rate those my top two.
Okay.
By far.
Man, this has been good, Paul. Cool. Thank you, sir. I got your website down here. If you guys want to check him out, do this. Highly recommending. Paul's been to a couple of our networks, and Paul, will hope to see you back soon because there's a lot of small businesses in there. Yeah, there's a lot of small businesses that need your help in there, and I definitely want to sit down with you myself personally next week if we can. I want to meet with you and talk about the CrowdStrike thing and have you do an overview of what I have. I think I'm pretty good, but I'm not great, right? I'm pretty good, but I'm not great.
We should just have you live again, and then you could just hack her.
Well, I don't want to tell people what I have. Okay, I just want to. I'll do that between me and Paul. I don't like to say, well, I got this, I got this, I got this. I keep up with stuff.
Live pen test on Herdy's computer. We'll just broadcast it. See what he can dig out.
So next week we are going to have Patty on with Dreammaker Travel. This is our halfway show. She did 9 series with us, Paul, where she takes the same questions, but she applies them to a cruise, to a special trip, an adventure trip. So, and they are fantastic. So it's going to be a little different next week, Jordan. We're actually going to record her on Wednesday and put it as a premiere on YouTube on Thursday as a live, because she works on Thursday. So we won't do anything next week, Jordan. It'll automatically start on time at 2:00, which is really kind of cool. So, hey, welcome everybody. Thank you to Mansfield Buzz. Paul, thank you. Go check out OX3 Security. Stay with us for a few minutes after we end this. We're capturing your voice individually on our backup, so we want to make sure it's fully loaded to our server. Okay, so
sounds good.
We'll see y'all next week on the Mansfield Buzz. Have a great day. See y'all later.
Bye, y'all.